What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eickman. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Homegrown Hustle. We got a special one for you today. I got the founder and CEO of Re3 Creative, Leanne Reichhoff, here in the studio. Thank you so much for coming out, Leanne. I'm really excited about this podcast. We were just talking before we hopped on, and you said your favorite customer to work with is companies that have been in business for 20 years or more. That does limit a little bit of the market there, but I'm interested as to why that's your favorite customer to work with.
I like working with people who have been doing the same thing for 20 years because they feel stuck. They often have winged it so far, like with their business, like they started quickly, they just figured things out as they went, and now they've plateaued and their competitors have done things differently. They're flying past them. They have a better website. They're doing crazy ads, a lot more crews or whatever that is. And so you need to figure out a way for them to show up and stand out and be the only option for their audience to pick. And that often requires things that I enjoy doing, which is thinking about the foundational things. What does your process look like? Who is your audience? Do you even know who your audience is? How are you speaking to them? How do you serve them properly? How do you serve them in a way that it outdoes your competitors? And those are my favorite things. And I think that that's what makes business successful, is really thinking through all those foundational things in a deep way.
So my assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, is people are calling you and they've got all that stuff figured out and they're like, here, Leanne, we need a website.
Yep.
But in reality, they probably don't actually have any of that stuff figured out. And that's might be some of why they're plateauing. So are you kind of peeling back some of those layers and asking deeper questions that are maybe helping people move past barriers that they've had themselves for their business?
I would say that there are some businesses who have it all figured out. They have a marketing director. They have people on their team that are doing really well, and they've thought through some of those things. But regardless of who comes to us, we always start at the beginning. We always start with clarity. Let's really understand what's actually going on, because what you think is going on and what is actually going on are two different things. People get skewed in their perspectives. They stay in the box and they see what's going on.
So
in
it that
exactly.
Can't see what's right in front of you sometimes, right? So that's actually a good segue. So I want to back it up. We're talking about the customers you're serving, the businesses you're impacting, but I want to learn a little bit more about you, and I want everybody else to know like what's got you to where you're at today. So you are born and raised Canadian?
Yes.
Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what it's like growing up there.
I loved it. My mom is actually from England.
Oh,
And
really?
and my mom and dad met young and had me young, and I guess I didn't really know much else. I didn't travel a lot. I didn't really know a lot about the US. I remember traveling across the border because it was cheaper to go to Minneapolis to go to the museum and to do things as a family. So I remember that. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really know much else. Winnipeg was cool. I liked it.
And then did your family move here?
No.
Or you moved as
I married an American.
Okay.
So I married a man from Wisconsin, and we met at school, and then we moved to Wisconsin.
Okay. So what did you study in school?
Well, I was a hairstylist, so I studied hair, but I actually went to a Bible college, which is where I met my husband in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, eh? So I'm not picking up any
Canada. Yeah, I've heard it all.
I'm not picking up any of this.
Not anymore. I got rid of it as quickly as possible.
Well, good work. Usually they still come up here and there, but I'm not going to drop any more jokes making fun of how Canadians speak. So I hope nobody's offended so far.
I do say Mario Brothers instead of Mario Brothers, which my kids make fun of me all the time for.
That wasn't going to make it into the podcast, but
no, there
now
you go.
It did, so we'll take it. So growing up, you said you were 15 when you started doing hair?
Yeah.
I had
a hair license before high school graduation.
So would you say that was like your first business-ish? Or got
so
you
in Winnipeg,
thinking?
yes. Well, in Winnipeg, you work for a company. It's not the same as it is here, where you have, at least it wasn't back then, you work for a company and you just make commission. It was never your own chair. You didn't have to manage your own business when I was younger. So it wasn't my own business at the time. But it definitely spurred on like being independent. And I like to break the rules a little bit and kind of do my own thing. So that I think is definitely part of running a business.
So what's the path from Bible college, working on hair, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan to where you're at now?
Yeah. So me and my husband lived in a really small town, 100 people in Wisconsin. small town of
Does
Burnout.
that even fall into the town
I think it was
category?
a village town. I don't even know. We lived there for a few years, but there was a restaurant in Burnout called Bistro 63 that was extremely good. Italian American food. A lot of people coming from Minnesota to their cabins would be there. It's pretty expensive for the area, and their food was amazing, but their website really sucked. And at the time, I had a blog that I was writing on that I built on Wix, and I was like, you know what? I bet you I could build them a website. And I also liked photography, and I love food, so taking pictures of their food and making it look great. So I built them this website, and I was like, hey, Gino, like, I built you a new website. And he's like, well, let's see it. So I showed him, and he's like, how much do you want for this? This is awesome.
You built it before you even sold?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I like that.
And I was like, $250? And he's like, sure. Wrote me a check for $250. And it was like the first thing I had ever really done in that way. And so that was crazy. And then the bartender of that restaurant managed a steel plant in Shell Lake. And so they brought me on, and then another restaurant and another, and I was like, I need to know what I'm doing, because I really don't know what I'm doing. So I spent some money and some time and learned WordPress and design and SEO and copywriting and all of the things that I needed to know. And then I actually rebuilt about 8 or 9 websites that I had already done in Wix, and I built them all in WordPress. I didn't charge my clients. I just rebuilt them because I knew that WordPress was way better. And it just started picking up.
WordPress is still around.
Yeah.
And I think it is still better.
Yes, there are some new platforms that are using AI, and you can really do a lot of things with them, but WordPress is still a really stable.
For sure. I mean, it's one of the go-tos we hear a lot of people talking about. All right. So you're doing all that, plus you're growing a family at the same time, but you've got this drive that has propelled you and continues like the growth and the impact that you're bringing. Could you talk a little bit about like where that comes from and how you like personally have had to navigate that juggle of being a parent plus also having this baby that's not really tangible, but you're growing the business as well?
It was really hard being a mom to 4 young children. To be honest, I didn't really ever think of myself to have children or a lot of children. 4 is a lot, I think, for most people. Like, I never really planned on having this big career either. I wasn't super career minded, but I like to work. I like sales a lot. So I'd always been in sales prior to doing hair. And I remember my kids being around me and wanting my attention. And I'm like, no, I need to get this work done. And it was hard when you started your own business and things are kind of out of control, where you are getting a lot of leads and you need to be doing the work, and you have 4 kids running around. I was also homeschooling. I started homeschooling. I homeschooled for 12 years total. My kids have actually only been coming up will be their 4th year. So September, they'll be 4 years into school. So it was really hard. My kids and my family, my husband felt that. I actually just wrote an email to my email list, as well as a LinkedIn post about rest, because for a long time I was working. I was working evenings. I was working weekends. I was working anytime I could, and my family felt it, and it wasn't healthy. And a lot of businesses start there. A lot of businesses start hustling and really putting business before themselves and putting business before their families. And unfortunately, at the beginning, it's kind of what you have to do. There has to be some sort of hustle to get things going. I'm thankful that I was able to grow a team and bring partners on now that I don't have to do that, but it was rough.
So what were some of the things that because I bet there's some people listening that are in a similar scenario,
For sure.
but they might not actually even realize it, because when all that's going on, plus you have kids, like there's not a lot of control to the chaos, right? And having time to think and identify some of those problems. There's any type of insight or like key things that you kind of saw that helped you move in a different direction because of your family, it sounds like. Could you call some of those out to maybe shake some sense into some of these guys?
I think boundaries are extremely important. And at the beginning, you don't really create boundaries because you think that working harder and more is going to create better results. I think it creates more insanity. It almost puts you in a spiral of like, I need to do this more and I need to do this harder. I need to figure this out. And sometimes actually just sitting in where you are for a while and not hustling and not changing and not pivoting and not thinking is more strengthening or more stronger than trying to hustle and trying to change things, because business changes all the time. And for some businesses, mine included, it ebbs and flows. Like sometimes we are rolling in all the projects and it's really great. And then sometimes it's really quiet and slow, and you have to be able to navigate both sides. And when you're hustling and you're changing all the time, your audience sees it as well and your family feels it. And so I think sometimes it's good to just say, you know what, I've done my best right now. I have a family. Like, what comes first? What's more important? And so putting boundaries in place. Like right now, I don't start work till 9:30 so that I can drive my kids to school and I can get home and I work out in the morning and I spend time for myself. And then I also finish at 4:00 so that when my kids come home, I'm not like, this is what used to happen all the time. I can't right now. I can't listen to your story about the day because I'm working. And I think that just kept becoming something that was repeated constantly. And I was hearing myself say this all the time. And I was like, that's not what I want to say to my 4-year-old child or my 10-year-old child. Yeah. It's like, what really matters in this moment, hearing them and letting them feel that I love them and that I want to hear them, or that my work is more important than them. And for many years, and I could easily cry right now about it, is like my kids thought that my work was more important. We would play games as a family. Like, we do this at the table all the time. Like, what's one thing I love to eat? Or my daughter just did this last night with her birthday. We have to, how well do we know her? And my kids would say something like, what does mom love to do? Work. And it was and it kind of hurt, but it's true. They're just reflecting on things that they've felt from me. And so boundaries are extremely important. Your kids, what they say too is often what you're saying out loud. So when your kids are saying you're working a lot or work is important, it's because that's actually what you're outputting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's not a lot of filters for kids, right? So that, I think, can bring a lot of value and insight. And it has for me. I know when I had my kids, my first one, there was just a different type of fire and purpose behind everything that I was doing. But quickly I found myself in that position that you kind of just called out. My son is getting older and starting to talk, and I'm still trying to grow a business and all these other things that I'm really only doing because I care about my family and what I'm trying to build over here. So that pay attention to your kids, I think is a key takeaway, and what they're saying. And as you're saying that, there's even ways I can improve. I'm pretty intentional with this, but the reason we grow businesses and we stay as entrepreneurs and don't go back to corporate is because it does allow a lot of opportunity and flexibility for a family, especially when you've got 4.
For sure.
There's not a lot of people I talk to nowadays that have 4 kids as well. But that can also be a slippery slope because then you don't realize how much it creeps into day to day.
I think delegation is extremely important. I brought 2 business partners on in 2022 and is the best decision I made besides starting the business, because I got to a point where something needed to change or I was going to break. And so bringing them on to delegation is one of the hardest things that business owners have, or choices that they have to make. And it's something that I help in my consulting is what are you doing right now that someone else could do? And as business owners and as entrepreneurs, we're control freaks, and we get to, we know we're good at what we do. And it's really hard to trust someone else to do it. 1, as good as you, 2, to treat the client or customer as well as you do. And you think you know better. And I've learned that sometimes it's good to find people that are actually better than you, or that you are trying to see that they're better than you in that position, so that you can delegate and then let go. I've delegated everything that I once did. I don't do anything 5 years ago. I don't do anything that I did 5 years ago. So that's
really hard to be able to make a shift like that.
For sure. Once you do it though, it's easy.
A couple questions. So what was going on in your mind and your business and life at that point? And then what was the shift? What did you have to change in how you were interacting and behaving day to day that allowed you to become a good delegator? Because there's dumping tasks onto people, stuff you don't want to do. Then there's delegating, right? And
there's both. Yeah.
But that muscle, the ability to do that, it takes practice and intent and thought.
So for me, the first time I delegated, it was kind of because I had to. I was at a point where I was about to break, and it was either I delegated something that I was doing that was taking up a lot of my time, or I wasn't going to make it anymore. I was about to have a mental breakdown. My business was extremely busy. I was thriving. I was doing really well, which was great, but I was also on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. It was a lot. And so when I brought my two business partners on, one of the things that I was doing was managing my team and project managing. And I was micromanaging because a lot of the people at that time, even like 7 years ago or so, I needed to micromanage. They weren't, I do have a high standard of excellence, and I expect my team to learn how to do those things well. And so I had to teach them. And I really have taught most of the people on my team to be where they're at today. And so it takes a lot of patience and a lot of instruction and a lot of time and energy. And I couldn't keep going. So my first business partner, I delegated all the project management and invoicing and budget. I like to spend money on my clients. I like taking people out.
I like to just spend money.
I like to spend money too. But for business, like in order to do well, you have to stop spending money on things. And I love we take clients out all the time and we do all these fun things, but I was doing it probably in excess because I appreciated my clients. But yes, that's a good thing to do, but also like not super smart as you're growing a business. So my one business partner, she takes on all of that, and she's a lot more frugal than I am. And we still have fun. Tonight we're going to go play pickleball with a team, and we pay for it. And every quarter we do something with our clients. But then my other business partner is doing the internal management, the contracts with our team, and all of the SOWs and all of that stuff with our team. And so that really relieved me to I wasn't necessarily good at either of those things. So it wasn't necessarily just dumping tasks. I would say that's what my assistant is for. Yeah. I have an assistant that manages my inbox so I don't miss things, responds to emails sometimes. And that stuff was more like, it feels like anybody could do that from my inbox, and just making sure that I'm on top of all my meetings. It's important to delegate. If you want to run your business well and not be under it, not be overwhelmed by it, not drown in it, you need to get to a point that you can work in your business and keep it going rather than micromanaging all the things. And I used to do web design, web development, SEO, copywriting, even photography, even logo design. I should have never.
You literally did all that stuff?
I did it. My logos are still out there.
Before they even paid you too, it sounded like.
Well, yes, that was the only one. But I even did logo design, and I still have a couple logos out there, and they are bad. They're bad. I did them when I had no idea what I was doing. So thankfully, I'm delegating now. I have 3 designers on my team who are exceptional at design. So now our work is so much better because I actually have designers doing the work and not just me. Or I have 3 developers on my team. I used to do all the development, and I can still do all those things, but now I can focus on strategy and helping my clients grow. And so before, when we were just doing websites and things like that, we weren't actually solving problems. And so now, with me taking a new role in strategy, it's like now instead of just building them a website, we're actually solving the problem so that the website actually works for them rather than just putting something out there and hoping it works. So I think it's grown our abilities, and I know that it's grown our abilities, and it's increased and improved the way that we can help our clients.
That's word. That's what I'm going to say. Cause that's kind of like a mic drop type of sentence, but I've seen so many businesses, talk to businesses frequently, and the business owner doesn't realize that their standard that they set and the micromanaging they impose on their team is one of the things that creates a culture where the trust isn't there, and it's hard to keep growing, because business owners, you're in your position because of your skill sets, and people that work for your team, they've got skill sets that have worked them up to their position, right? If they had the same skill sets we did, they'd be in our role, right? And that little shift in thinking about how they're going to have to learn and progress. It's not like I'm going to tell you once and it's just going to happen. And because I remember when I started that process, I thought I was a good manager, but I was micromanaging the crap out of people because, well, I did it this way. Yeah. And even if they did it well and they sold the deal or whatever, or solved the problem, I'd still find something that wasn't to the standard, right? So it sets up this culture that makes it really difficult for people to have space to bring additional value and their own insights to the growth of your company. So delegating, once you do it, it creates that space where you can actually become the business owner that isn't in the business all the time, and you get to work on the business. But
I want to comment on something you said, because I completely agree with what you're saying. Like if you overly micromanage someone or your team, you're almost stunting their growth. But at the same time, if no one holds them accountable, I review everything my team does, from design to copy to ads to, I don't really micromanage SEO, and I don't necessarily micromanage, but I'm reviewing everything before it goes to a client for review. And it's because my standards are high. And I think that's also really great. And I'm not trying to boast, but I think it's good to have a boss or a leader that wants to raise people to better work instead of being complacent to be like, oh yeah, that's good enough. Like that's not okay. Like you have to keep growing and keep, so I'm subscribed to many things online where I'm sending my team like different classes they can take and different things that they can do to keep improving their skills. So I think there's pros and cons. I would say there's no pros of micromanaging per se, but there's pros of managing, of being there and being beside them and helping them grow. And I've definitely, I believe that my team, some of them very specifically, have grown in their gifts because I've pushed them. Because it's kind of like a coach on a team. You know, if you're like, oh yeah, you're doing 100%. Fine, you know, they're not going to grow and they're not going to get better at hockey because you're just like, whatever, you're doing great. Like if you're like, no, you can do better, you're pushing them. It doesn't mean you have to be angry or mean, but you can do it in a way that really builds them up. And people want, we're everybody in this world wants people to build them up and support them and encourage them in whatever their gifts are. And I feel like if someone has a natural gift to do something well, then they have the ability to grow and do really well in that gift. And some people are not in their natural giftings and they really just are in the wrong seat. So I think there's just really good pros and cons of leading people in a team and
building people up, right? Because like having somebody fill a role and having headcount on the staff, like that helps you get the work done and it's easier to look at and everything. But the X factor is, what if that person becomes 2 or 3 times more sophisticated because the skill sets you help them develop? And now what type of impact can that bring to the company?
Agreed.
But the big thing that I've seen people get hesitant around investing in their team and building them up rather than just going and hiring somebody who's been in that role and they have that experience is that they don't know if that person's going to be like committed to the company, right? But it's all like, let's weigh out the risk of investing in that person and helping them grow their skill set versus not, right? Because not doing it, they could stay exactly how they are and be at your company in 5-6 years. And for a growing company, that's really not what you want. Like the leaders developing around you is what helps everybody continue to grow and have new opportunities. We're forced to do that being entrepreneurs and business owners that decide to grow, but a lot of people just want to show up to work, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't show up for me if that's all you're there for. I really enjoy molding people in the way that I think is right for our team and our clients. So like we've had people like writers, for instance, that have been on our team and being able to like, or someone will be like, oh, I've been to, like they want to join our team and they give us their resume and, oh, I have all this experience. I almost don't want them because they think they know what they're doing. They think they know, especially like marketing, there's a big box of marketing that stays very much about data and metrics and volume and agency, quick templates, quick this, quick that, automation, everything. And there's definitely a place for automation. We use it. I absolutely use AI for things. But I think there's more value in being able to mold someone in their giftings to strengthen the company in the way that they can the best, because that's ultimately what they're bringing better to the table. So I like helping people think outside the box.
So how do you do that with your team? Like what are some of the things that maybe you don't even think about because you just do naturally at this point that other people could bring into their business and try to cultivate that within their own team?
I say try again. Like something, if someone produces content for me, go back to the drawing board, go back to the brand strategy that I created. I already created everything you need to write good copy. I already created everything you need to make this design happen. There's already so much work. I've already done all the work for them. All they have to do is read it and understand it and embody it and produce. And so I think that when people don't go into that lane of really understanding the client, I think that's my gift. That would be my gift, is understanding the client so well that I feel comfortable going into a conference call on their behalf or going into a sales call on their behalf. And so I think that our team can do the same thing when they really understand the brand strategy and not just write, not just design, not just create, because that's what agencies do. And I like to call us a firm because I think firms are more invested in the relationship and long-term partnerships.
Stronger word.
Exactly. Agencies companies just want quick stuff. And I want quick wins too for my clients, but my approach is long-term growth. I don't want them to just have templated things and AI generated stuff. Like, it's important that we really get them and that they feel that we get them. And so just asking people to go back to the strategy that I already created instead of just outputting. Because we get into these things where we're just outputting. We're on pilot, we're on autopilot. And I think that's the downfall of a lot of people who own a business, is we just get into autopilot. We just keep doing the same thing, which is the kind of people I want to help. I want to get them outside of autopilot, start thinking about the real reason they're in business, the foundational aspects of their business, their processes, their customers, the experience that they're providing, the service they're providing, not just the website. And so I think it's just really a matter of just understanding that and going back to the beginning and starting and trying again. Until you really understand the client, you're not going to actually output anything good. It's just going to be like everything else. It's going to be like anyone could write content for you. Anyone could write content for them, but it's not going to hit the mark. It's not going to connect with their audience unless you really understand who that is.
Well, because it can essentially take away like the key thing with marketing by taking the differentiation away from it. Like the uniqueness of the brand, the story, and
absolutely,
and everything that goes into that. Like, it takes a lot to have that overlay with high quality SEO pages and ongoing content creation, right? So if it's just autopilot, AI generated stuff,
you're losing your voice.
That authentic human, like real feeling, especially like within a market like we're in the Midwest, like customers see that right away. They can see the chat GPT all over it, and it doesn't create connection.
I agree.
Because people are coming to your website, you're trying to get them to connect and see value somehow. That's like, would you say
that's the whole point?
That's the goal of websites, right?
I always say that I want it to feel like you're sitting across the table. When they come to your website, it should be an extension of your business. It shouldn't be anything different. So it should feel like they're already walking into your location, experiencing what it's like to work with you, trying to remove any objections that they would have. Like, what is it like? Who am I going to see? What is the process? Like, any questions that people would have, we're trying to remove those objections through their experience with you online. So if you can make that an extension of going to the location or having that service done in the way that you talk and in the way that your images are, like stock images, like that's not real. That's not, I want to see real people doing real things. Real photos of real people doing real things is what I always say, because it removes the objection. It's the same. Something else that drives me crazy is when you're in a meeting with someone and they have a screen behind them that's branded, or, you're not seeing where they are. And it's like, what are you hiding? Yeah. Like, let's be genuine. I don't care if your house is a mess or if you're in your office and it's not as nice as you want it to be, or like you're removing, that's an objection. I would say if I was on a call with someone in a sales call and they had that, I'd be like, it makes your focus shift of like, who are you really? Where are you really? And I think removing as many objections as you can in the sales process and in your service experience is going to win more clients and more customers.
You're really trying to bring that authenticity out.
100%.
And in the age of AI, somebody please come up with the AI tool that does that. Like, if you could do that, I think you win the AI race. But until then, there's firms and people that we as business owners need to find experts that can help us solve those problems. And oftentimes what I've found when we have a problem that kind of lingers in our business, it's because we're asking the wrong questions. It's because we're so in the woods, we can't see the forest through the trees type of thing. So bringing in a consultant on marketing or in any other part of the business, like, there's incredible value there. And I've seen many times people that we've worked with condense what we think is really complicated and just impossible to solve problems down to like simple, how the heck did I not think of that type of solutions?
Because we're in the box.
And now you're to the next step, and now you can do stuff. Yeah. But do you ever run into barriers with people like opening up and being authentic as they're trying to work with you as a vendor?
At the beginning, everybody wants to look better than they are. Everybody wants to not necessarily admit that they're struggling. So it's funny because people sometimes will come to us and say, oh, they want all this stuff. But then once budget gets mentioned, they're like, oh, we don't have any money. And it's like, okay, well, you're putting on a certain front that you're doing so well, but yet, so what are you willing to invest to make this better for you? I do consulting, typically with business owners or C-suite. And at the beginning, they don't realize a lot of times that when I'm consulting with them, it's to solve their problems, the problems that they're actually making for the company. And so they often think it's like, oh, well, you're going to help solve the problems of my team and my marketing. But a lot of times the problems start at the top and in the way that they're leading. And so that also, like, as soon as that realization, it's like it takes a little bit for us to unravel. It's important to unravel with people that you can trust. And I'm very thankful and honored to be in rooms with people that they unravel and they share, because that's where growth happens. We can't grow if we're not willing to change. And change can sometimes not feel good. It sometimes requires humility and saying, oh, you're right, I've not been treating my employees this way, or I've been not leading them right, or I've been going this direction. I'm not unified with the rest of my team, or whatever that is. So it takes a little bit. And some people, as I've experienced, just never unravel. They're not willing to admit that they might be the problem. And so, but in that case, the business will never change either. So if they're wanting change, but they're not willing to change themselves, they're not willing to reflect and become better leaders, then their business is never going to change either. So it's kind of this.
Doesn't matter how much money you throw at it.
It's true.
So the C-suites that you're working with, that's obviously larger businesses.
Not necessarily.
Obviously. Sometimes I overuse that word. In my mind, you build a C-suite once you've kind of got to enterprise level and you can actually have a role as a CEO where you're not just creating a title that you're underqualified for, but you've got to the point you're delegating, you're building systems and processes, but you're working with not just businesses that have been around for 20 years and they're 10 technicians, 20 technicians. Sometimes it's much bigger, right? You guys can kind of handle all over the place.
Yes.
Are there verticals that you specialize in as well? Like home service? You kind of do it all.
So the reason, I'll tell you why. I to honestly work the best to my ability and in the most ethic way and honest way possible, I cannot work with anyone's competitors. So we've turned down bigger people, bigger potential leads than our clients, because they are a direct competitor. They serve the same audience. They're in the same area. So I do that because SEO, you have to understand your competitor's SEO to do better in SEO. Advertising, same thing. And so how do you ethically and honestly help two companies out that are competing against one another, using each other's data to do it? Someone has to win to move forward. Yeah. So I don't do that. So so then that would really skew my business, right? I'd have one client if I was only one industry. I also believe, I actually know, I have a belief, and everyone would agree when I say this, is that things that I learn in my agricultural software client are going to help me with my medical client, and they're going to help me with my lighting design client, because business is business. You just serve different people and you have different processes, but at the end of the day, the marketing pillars still apply to every business. So you just have to learn what that business is doing and how they're serving their clients, and how you can make them the category of one in their industry. But I enjoy learning about different industries. And I think sometimes when you're only serving one industry, you actually are
in a rut almost.
And a lot of agencies or companies that are serving one niche, you're just getting templated crap. You're getting this
exactly what we were talking about before.
You're getting the same website, just with different pictures, different content. You're not getting anything custom to your business, your audience. It's just this, and I'm like so against that.
Checking the box. Yep, we've got a marketing team.
Yeah, that's not marketing. That's why I don't like saying even marketing. I feel like the word marketing is similar to like used car sales. Like you kind of feel icky about going to a lot because they're going to jump on you, and you're not sure if they're going to scam you. You're not sure if that car is actually as good as you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas like in marketing, agencies or like that sort of term, I feel like can be the same way. Like people are like, oh, you're going to give me all this money, and they're making a lot of money on you based on your advertising or whatever. And I'm really against that. We don't use a template anything. We do custom everything. We test ads before we run them. We create custom designs for your website based on your clients.
How do you test an ad before you run it?
Sorry, before we run full campaigns, we test 150 ads in the matter of 2 weeks with a cold audience, so we can actually see
like a micro budget type of thing.
What outliers are working. Yeah, like $500 to $1,000. We've run, for one company we're doing right now, we ran 600 ad tests in 2 weeks just to see. Otherwise, what happens is a company will just run some ads and hope it works. Run some, and
Oh
you're
my
pouring a
God.
lot of money into it.
And then when it doesn't work, they fire their marketing agency and go to another one. Don't do that.
We spend 2 weeks. We spend 2 weeks testing at least 150 ads. It depends. This one client had 6 different focuses, so that's why we did 600. But 150 ads with a budget to a cold audience, not refined, nothing. And we test the outliers. So the headline, the call to action, the media. So we'll do the same media with 30 different headlines. What headline actually worked?
I'm going to do this 100%.
It works because then you actually see like the things that you think are going to work. Marketing people often make decisions based on intuition rather than data. Because we love ideas, we love doing that sort of thing. But an ideation is amazing. I love inventing things for my clients. But if you can't prove that it works, then why do it? So I get so excited about this because
I can feel it.
Yes. So we do this with social media too. We do this with social media. So we spend a whole year testing content ideas, which kind of feels like, I mean, we have 81 posts that repeat 3 times with different media, different hooks, different times of day. So we can actually see what the audience wants to hear about rather than just assuming we know and then being like, crap, we didn't get any likes on that or nothing happened. Well, it's because you didn't actually ask your audience what they wanted to hear. You're not tracking the data based on content pillars and content media. So the advertising one's my favorite because too many people just throw ads out there and hope it works. And we can prove that things work in 2 weeks with not even a refined audience. So then once we refine it with the outliers that are working, you make bank.
Guys that are running their own ads, they can do that same thing though.
Anybody
right?
could.
Like it's really just process to actually going and putting all your budget behind it.
It's nothing special. That's not anything crazy.
It's nothing special, but it is special because a lot of people don't do it because it takes time.
Yeah.
And you also have to start thinking about the data, not just, I got to check this box and move on to the next thing so I can keep
And you have to
growing my
think
business.
about different ways of presenting an idea. So when we build ads, we do it alongside of a buyer journey. So being unaware, aware, being solution aware, brand aware, into considering and about to purchase and then ready to buy. And so you need ads that match those different stages of the buying cycle. And you need to be creative. Like some companies win when they're like in the camera and they're all in and they're like, hey, I actually did that for one of my companies. I'm in their ads and I'm in the camera and I'm, whatever. And it did really well. And then we have some that are branded, some that are fun, some that are like, every company has a different audience that will resonate or connect with different things. So you do need to be creative and you do need to try different ideas, not just different like captions. They have to fall into some sort of strategy, but yeah,
and
it's
things
fun.
people care about that can lead to business for you and or just attention, right? Social media and a lot of marketing nowadays is going to where's the attention, right? And people's attention is in their phone. It's on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. So how do you think about navigating the endless new social media platforms that are out there when you're trying to help businesses capture attention? Because that conversation can go from Gary Vaynerchuk, like put 1,000 out on every platform. Everybody should do it. And that's kind of what we've done and we've learned through it. But just being really good at one and having focus there, that can allow for greater learning oftentimes because now you can focus and make those tweaks. And as a growing business, pivot easier when it's just one manageable platform. So could you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about the social media platforms when you're helping businesses? I don't want to say check that box because we don't like to check boxes with marketing.
Well, no, I think the social media is a box check.
Is it? Let's talk about that then.
Okay,
Unpack that statement for me.
Okay. So I just said that social media is like a checkbox. It's a beast.
Yes.
It becomes an addiction. It becomes something we become enslaved to. If we don't do it, we're falling behind. So it feels like something that we can't control. And I don't like anything that we can't control. But yet we have to do it if we want. I mean, it's important. Like people, if they hear your name. So when I work with people, I think of from the time that someone hears your name till the time 2 years after they've had your service. What is their experience with you? How are they relating to you? Because all your content and stuff needs to be relative for all of those stages. So with social media, it's like when they hear your name, what are they going to do? They're going to go to your Google profile and see what your reviews are. They're going to see if you have reviews. They're going to probably read 10 of them. They're going to go to your website. Is it decent? If not, they're definitely alongside of you. They have 5 other people open as well that they're checking. They're going to check your social media. So if you're not on social media and someone else is, well, they must not care.
Yep.
And so it's not, I just hate having to like hustle for social because it's a daily thing. The more you post, the more engagement, the more reach you're going to have. And it just feels like, it just kind of feels icky to me. It feels, so it's important for me with our clients to be authentic. I love when they show up on camera and they're just being themselves. We do filming and stuff with our clients as well. And so I'm trying to keep them consistent and authentic. I don't want to follow all these trends. I'm not trying to blow up anyone's account. We do fun things with them and we definitely try to find ways for them to stand out. But at the end of the day, I want them to be true to themselves and true to their business. And I want them to be consistent in something they can actually manage. So if something becomes like, oh, you have to do this and that and this and that to be somewhere and do something, it becomes crazy. And
yeah,
I don't know.
As I'm hearing you talk about this, like what it sounds like is like you don't want to be like a lot of these other marketing agencies where they'll sell you kind of whatever you want, whatever you're talking about, because you're trying to drive sales, trying to drive revenue, because you've seen it probably create more problems in those businesses. And like you're really trying to get past the symptoms and get to like what's the real problem here. But that process can take time, especially with well-established businesses. So you were talking about a 6-step process that you go through with your team. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So anybody that wants to work with us, we do a clarity assessment first. It's a full day. Prior to the full day, I'm doing a present scan. So I'm looking at their performance, their SEO, what they look like online. I have them fill out no forms before this. So I don't know anything about their business. I'm looking at their business from an open perspective. I don't know anything. I'm just looking at it, giving them an outside perspective. So I'm checking like their backlinks and all that stuff as well. And then I spend a full day with them and I want to see where they work. I want to see how they answer the phone. I want to see how they interact with their customers. And then we have the majority of our time is a structured discussion going through strategic execution and operational strategies and what they're doing currently. So I ask a lot of questions and we talk about it. And I often come up with ideas in our conversations, but I want to understand what's actually working and what's not working. Again, like a lot of business owners are kind of stuck in a box and they only see things a certain way or they're comfortable doing what they're doing. And my job is to show them, hey, you're really strong in this area. Let's lean further into this. This is something else you could keep going in this direction because this is obviously a strength for you. Let's keep going. And here's something that's really important that you need to fix. And it could be something small. I have one customer that doesn't write good emails at all. And so it's like,
you probably have more than just one, but
yes, I know.
Let's keep talking about this one.
So just improving just some little things that can help. And obviously there are also some big things, like if your website's poor and that's the first impression, like we want to fix that. But a website only amplifies the foundation of the business. So we want to make sure that the foundation of the business is good. So we work on clarity, clarifying what's actually going on in the business. How are you really thinking about these things? What are your real problems? Because people will say, well, we need a new website. Well, that's not the problem. And so, and sometimes the problem can be your service isn't geared towards your audience, or it's not packaged or delivered or messaged the right way that your audience doesn't even understand what you do, which is why you're not getting leads. So there's lots of things that you can fix before a website. So then we go into strategy. We talk about brand strategy, positioning, audience, messaging. I do sales strategy. I help sales teams sell better.
That's usually the problem I found with most people that are having marketing problems is they don't actually have a good sales process once they get whatever leads are there.
It's true.
But let's just blame it on the marketing company, right?
Yeah. So sales is a big thing. And it's sometimes it's the wrong people in the wrong seat. They shouldn't be selling. They're trying too hard. They're not just being authentic. They're not actually trying to help. They're just trying to get the sale. Doing service experience. So lots of different strategies. And then we go into brands. So once clarity is established and strategy is established, now we can work on what you look like visually, what your photos should look like, what your videos should look like, what your logos and colors and fonts should look like.
And it all having the same feeling.
All having the same feel from strategy.
All that gives off feelings.
Absolutely.
And those feelings are kind of what we need to be in touch with so that we can drive the end result.
When a customer comes to a website, they need to feel that you're competent, that you know what you're doing, that you're someone they want to get to know. It drives me crazy when people don't have pictures of themselves on the website because you're completely removing that emotional human connection that we all want. And so they have to guess. Well, then now they're not going to guess. They're just going to.
It really is. Because people are so used to seeing like AI type stuff and all these other ads that are obviously ads. When you bring real people, we get higher views on anything where we're showing our team versus anything 100%. That we've created from a graphic. It's actually very frustrating for me at times.
Because you don't actually want to be on camera?
I love being on camera. Okay. It's like too much to the point where we're trying, like sometimes it's accidental we're trying to take a picture of something in our inspection, and there's like, we're like peeking into the picture. Like sometimes that is what's going to do best. I could go spend 10 grand with a photographer and that photo's not going to do anything close to like that authentic,
for social,
real
for sure.
stuff,
For social, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
I think your website should have.
I'm not throwing that on the website.
Yeah, no. So on our website, we actually have a gallery of images of me with clients and our team with clients, because we actually go out with our clients. We do a meet and mingle every quarter, which is networking, and we bring everyone together.
I didn't know marketing teams could do that.
Well, that
was sarcasm.
Doing different,
sorry.
I guess.
I love that.
I care about the people we work with, and I want them to get to know each other, because I have great clients, and a couple of them have already collaborated, and it's fun to see like a farmer and a medical professional across the table talking, and really like they're from totally two different markets, and yet they're having a pint of beer together and we're discussing, and it warms my heart. I love doing that. We do it every quarter, which is really fun. So strategy, brand. Once the brand's established, we go into the website. So that's SEO, copywriting, design, and development. We do custom design and develop. There's no templates with anything that we do. And then after the website, we do marketing. So once you don't want to do ads and push them to a website that's ugly.
Yeah.
You might have a great click-through rate, but no conversion. And it's easy to follow the journey. You know what I mean? Like you can figure out pretty quickly what's not working. And then after marketing, we do growth. So that's ongoing consulting, whether it's monthly or quarterly, just to keep the client aligned with the strategy and the growth. Otherwise, they're busy. I don't expect them to manage everything themselves. So that you asked about the 6-stage process. We call it the business growth blueprint. Oh, can I tell you something really fun?
Yes, you just got excited, so you have to now.
I have to tell you about this. We just trademarked something. We actually want to make kind of like a reality TV show, but in the brand world. So we trademarked something called the blind brand. We've done it already on one customer, and it launched really because of the last 8 or 9 clients that we've had, where when I do clarity and strategy with a client, like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty confident that I get to know them really well, that I would be able to replace them in a sales call. And so because I earn their trust and I understand them so well, they just say, Leanne, whatever we need to do, whatever you think. And so it's allowed me to build their brand and build their business the way that I think is best for them. And so this whole idea came out of it because a lot of times people get in the way, like their color preference or whatever, like or it takes a really long time and they get frustrated because they're taking a long time and it's causing the project to go further. So the blind brand, I still do the strategy with them. I still do clarity and then strategy, and then they're out. They don't see the brand until it's done. They don't ask. They don't get to see colors. They don't get to
just start making executive decisions.
We make executive. Yes. It's like we just do it for them. So then after the brand, after the brand, we show them a quick sneak peek, because if they absolutely hate it, we already have 8 other concepts that we thought about and decided not to go with. But if they are like, yep, let's keep going, then we build the whole website. We write all the copy. We do all of the marketing strategies without them at all.
This is like Ink Master for your brand. I
love it. I'm super excited. It's been very fun. We just, next week, we're launching our first blind brand. We didn't film it. We started trying to film it. We have a videographer on our team. We weren't ready yet to film something like this. We have to figure out the logistics of it, but it's been a really great experience, and the process is quicker. They're getting a better result. We help roll it out properly internally with their team and externally through social and email and platforms. And it's really fun. I'm really excited about it.
And the magic of it is you're getting people out of the way that aren't we're not trying to get you as a business owner to be the customer, like to have this type of thought process. They're not thinking like how we think as business owners. So the feedback you get after a certain point, like it's just getting in the way, like you said. And
brand strategy, we do talk about like, where do you want to see your company in 5 years? Like what resonates with you? What companies do you aspire to be like, or do you find to be influenced by? So it's not like we're not like just coming up with our own thing. Like there is strategy built, and they are approving that strategy before we move forward, but they don't know what that looks like visually. They don't know what that looks like on their website. They don't know what pages there's going to be on their website. So, and it's cool. So with that, we like to just say, hey, like, this is the budget we would like to have allotted for this. And it depends on the size of the company. And we want to be able to use that money in the way that we see fit. So if you need a brand video, but if you don't have the money for that, maybe your site's just going to be smaller. You might not have a brand video, but we have the ability to do all the things that we believe that they need to do. It's been really fun. I'm really excited. It's exciting.
I just love that concept, but I think having other people kind of see how that goes, like, it creates opportunity for you to actually enlighten business owners and like show like, hey, told you guys, like, you get in the way of the process. But how does somebody know they have to go through a rebranding process? Because we went through that. I feel like we're still going through it sometimes because like when you're scaling and you got people everywhere, your logo ends up on a lot of stuff. And now you got to work all that out. And
it's expensive.
Oh my.
If it's on trucks and signs and
time wise, like the expense there, and like my understanding of what it costs to go and flip over a truck, and you got 20 of them, and how much time those vehicles go out of the field. Like, we need those vehicles, right? So that is a learning process, but I didn't even know until a few people that I trust and respect in the marketing space were like, hey, I know you want to grow your company. You're not going to do it with this logo, with this brand.
Isn't that interesting? I agree. Sorry.
Why? Like, how can it actually impact, right? Because at the end of the day, we do pest and wildlife control, right? So people call us when it's a oh crap scenario and they need us out fast. So if we answer the phone, we get out there fast, we win.
Who cares about the logo, you'd think?
That's what you think, comma.
Yep.
This is where you come in.
So it depends. Because there are a lot of companies that are so solid and they're going strong that a logo is not going to change their reputation. If you have a solid reputation, you have a big business and it's going well, and you're not looking to scale, you might not need to change your logo. You might need to change the way you use it, or you might need to support your logo with different colors or fonts, or like if your website's really old and it looks like outdated, but your logo it's built to a solid reputation. Sometimes a changing of a logo, insert Cracker Barrel, or, there's several, it actually doesn't do the business well at all, because
disorients the customer that was loyal to that
totally
brand.
So sometimes it's not necessarily redoing the logo. I would say if it doesn't look professional, it should be redone. But there's professional logos that were done 20 years ago that you can tell were done by a professional, and it's carried them 20 years. And I think sometimes it's also just a matter of refreshing it, but not changing it. It could just be like modernizing it. A lot of logos that we come across that are 20 years old, they aren't the right resolution. They weren't built properly, so you can't blow them up.
It's not even the right format, so you can't get it onto the stuff you need.
Exactly.
We had one copy of the logo, and we would put it on stuff.
Tell me it wasn't a PDF, please.
It probably was, because like we'd put it on stuff and there would have to be like a blank white square behind it.
Yep.
So we've taken a few steps forward. Yeah. We've elevated ourselves, but the brand itself and how people like feel about that can build over time. If you're doing a good job of putting it in front of people, it will.
And a brand isn't just a logo, right? So a lot of like firms would say your brand, and it means the company, what you're putting forward. Branding is the logos, the colors, the fonts. And I think that any company that has a strong presence and is intentional about what they do is going to win. If they have an old logo, that's it's still, you can tell that it wasn't done in paint from 20, like that's the worst.
I forgot about paint.
There, I just reminded you.
Thank you.
We see some really bad things. And the other thing is, I would say another time you need a brand refresh is if your brand is evolved. If you're not serving the same people, or you're offering different services. Sometimes we just did D'Amico. Yep. So they used to be called D'Amico Catering. They changed their name to D'Amico Hospitality. We did all their branding for them. They're doing things much bigger than just catering. And so their logos and their graphics and the things that they had, their menus and all that, we've redone, because they were only serving the catering brand, not a hospitality brand.
And that limits the growth of the business. So if you're going into new markets, new things like that, now you can bring in new creatives.
Absolutely.
And sometimes there's crossover with those customers to whoever you're serving before. And the last thing you want to do is have that customer not realize that it's the same company doing both.
This kind of ties back to what you said earlier about that we're not just looking to like sell you everything. So for instance, if a company came to us and they're successful and they're intentional and they have a good reputation, and I have a company in mind that I'm thinking of, they're amazing, and their logo's gotten them, it might not be part of the project scope to redo their logo. Like, I'm not going to just redo something to redo something. There has to be a reason. If you don't have a reason, a good reason to redo something or to do something, you don't do it. So I think that matters.
Yeah, 100%. So then you don't spend money and time doing stuff you don't have to do.
Exactly.
A lot of business owners, especially myself, like I wasn't letting the business grow and I'd want to change stuff just to change it because I didn't have anything to, I didn't know what to do with my time. So now I'm changing, messing everybody else's day up.
Yeah.
But that intent, when you're talking about something as big as a website, as big as a brand, as big as all those things that go into bringing in the future of your business, the new growth, the new customer connections and relationships, if intent's missing and we're checking boxes, where the heck are you actually going to end up with your business if we play that out? Even if a marketing agency has good results, like as we're creating separation between the business owner and the customer as it's scaling, you can get disconnected from that and you can come back into your brand and be like, what the heck is even going on here? We don't do any of this stuff. So having a trusted partner and a relationship where it's developed over time so that you aren't thinking, oh, this person's just trying to sell me everything. Rather, you're thinking, I trust this person so much, I'll do whatever they say within the budget that I have.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have people like that, but they're working as a third-party vendor and they're technically on your team at that point, right? If you're working with somebody, like you should operate as if you're part of the team. And
I always say I'm down the hall. They can knock on my door and give me donuts. I don't eat donuts, but I always say that I want them to feel like I'm an extension of their team. I want them to feel like I'm just down the hall and they can call me or or knock on my door.
It's critical. This went way faster than I thought, Leanne, but you've brought an incredible amount of value here in this short time we've had. I want to say thank you. Is there anything before we sign off you want to tell people that are listening, particularly like how to get a hold of you? Because I know that you can impact some of the businesses that are listening, but any other like key takeaways, a little inspiration you might have?
I think just being intentional as a business owner and trying to understand your audience and really, truly connecting with them, serving them as if you'd serve your family, and just doing them good, doing them the best that you can do, being honest when you screw up. Otherwise you get bad Google reviews if you don't address some of that stuff, But to get a hold of me, my website is Re3 Creative. I'm actively on LinkedIn. Please connect with me there. We have a meet and mingle every quarter that we love business owners to come to, not just our clients, but anyone, really, not even business owners. We have lots of people that come. We average about 30 people at a brewery. The brewery changes every quarter, but on my website, I have an events tab that you can register for that.
Is the next one coming up?
It's coming up May. Oh, it's in May. It's always the second Wednesday of the month. And we just had one in February. So March, April, May, second Wednesday.
Easy to plan.
There you go.
Like moving location is one thing, but if you're moving location, plus you're moving the day of the week, like those events, speaking from experience, they're hard to actually have people show up at. So put that on your calendar. We'll put some more info in the comments or the description below. Last question.
Yeah.
This is a Homegrown Hustle. We're really grateful for you coming on here. But we ask everybody one question. What's hustle mean to you?
Ooh. For me, hustle is like running the kids to school, making sure they have lunches, making sure they showered in the morning, making sure that they're provided for both at home and through my business. Like I want to provide for my family. So hustling is thinking and clarifying and reflecting but also resting.
Second mic drop of the podcast. Leanne, thank you so much for coming on.
Having me.
Thank all of you for listening. If you got some value out of this or you know somebody who might get some value, please share it with them. When we can all learn together, we can support each other. And that's really what we've been trying to do here, is just create a platform where we can learn from each other, local businesses here, serving other local businesses, and just caring about the entrepreneur community. So thank you so much for bringing your expertise in here. I'm going to take a couple of things and put this into my business.
Yay.
So if you guys aren't, you're sleeping on progress. So thanks, everybody. Until next time, keep hustling. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Homegrown Hustle. It's been an honor to share the stories of local legends who make our community thrive. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Please stay tuned for more insight and inspiration. We got a lot of heat in the chamber. This is Matt Eickman saying peace out until next time. Get hustling.